Ombungoma, Gongwa, MONBASA, MVITA, living weapons. Warfare is a breeding ground for innovations, both useful and destructive. From time immemorial, human beings have waged wars with devastating effects on each other, but eventually some have resulted into good use. The introduction of the arrow for hunting was done by putting a flintstone, the flintstone they used to cut, sharpened, on a piece of stick, and with a piece of leather or rope, it could be held. A spear, tying the flintstone on top of a long branch, tie it with some leather or with strings, a weapon had been made. It progressed to use of the gun, use of the nuclear weapon, use of poison weapons, and some has worked for the good of mankind, but some have had devastating effects. Let's look at the arrow. The arrow made hunting very easy. You could hide on top of a tree and unleash a weapon at an animal down there without the animal realizing where you are. Or at a distance, you could unleash an arrow and you are able to hunt for your food. So did it happen to the gun? For mild poisons, there are some plants that you could ground. It even used to happen here, but it was destructive to the fish population. Some leaves they ground, and then you put some pepper in it, and you pour it downstream. Then the fish will float, and you just go picking the fish. You don't even have to do any. And if they went down the river after some time, the effect of the mild poison would end, and the fish would again resuscitate themselves and swim upstream, maybe to the place where they used to live. So it made things easier during that time. But also, these weapons unleashed devastation. In a warfare, people would fight from a long distance. People would do much damage to each other, including the nuclear bomb. We saw what it did to Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And the good part of the nuclear fission was the building of thermonuclear electric stations. They could produce electricity using those. The use of uranium as a fuel, in that you can use 4 kilograms of uranium for 30 years, taking a whole warship around the world continuously, producing electricity for that warship, producing all other things, helping in launching planes using the same 4 kilogram uranium, 4 or 5, for 30 years without refueling. So it has had both effects, good and bad. But as our systems improved, we learned to use other minute entities that were unknown to us to wage war. For instance, in a war where the Mongolians came to a town of Kufa in Iraq and were able to catapult bodies of people who had been infected by the plague or the Black Death, and some traders who had also been under siege in the place went away to Europe that time and spread the Black Death or plague. I also saw that another writing in the internet, addition to that, I don't know if it happened, if they came from this place to another place, the names are similar, that the attack happened in Kaffa, Crimea, the present town called Feodosia in Ukraine. I had not come across that one before when I was doing the first thing on some other historical things, but you know there is a lot of information. So they may have gone from there to this other place, but this one I was not aware of it. It's always good to get new information. So I've also gotten information from the internet that they went to the same Mongolian army, use the same tactic in Kaffa, Crimea, present city called for Feodosia in Ukraine. I don't know, they were similar, but the one I had was of Kufa in Iraq. The effects were devastating to the point that people thought it was the end of the world. The Black Plague. Bodies were thrown down the Thames River. People did everything they could. They thought it was the end of the world. But it never ended. God is good. It stopped. This use of biological and viral effects led to people who were doing occultic things like Mengele in Germany, but we had another who did even more scaring experiments with people in Japan, called Shiroishi in Japan. He led a unit, military unit, that also decided to carry out experiments with people. The captured people, the Chinese, the Russians, and any other people who had been captured in the war, were taken in an underground experimental place where they would be cut without anesthesia to see how much you can cut. Can you cut bowels of a human without anesthesia, and how long does it take to die? Infect them with diseases to see how effective they were, and create weaponized diseases and use them on experimental basis on these people. This is why they came with tests where you could put somebody on the ice and wait to see how long it will take for that person to die. In some experiments, they would put people in low pressure rooms. Because of the low pressure, the ice would swell and burst like balloons. They did horrible, horrible things. But they were able to create weapons that they used in warfare. Biological weapons, viral weapons. After the Second World War, countries went amassing biological weapons, chemical weapons, and viral weapons. They have them. When we look at the other dangers that face the world, we are always focused on nuclear holocaust. Nobody has ever taken much interest in biological or bacterial, viral, the biological weapons that we have. The Black Plague, the Black Death or the plague, killed a large population of the earth, a very large number. People thought the world was almost going to an end. We had rumors of bird flu, and eventually we had corona. You know what it did to the world? For the first time, planes stopped flying throughout the world. Everything was stranded. People staying in houses. And other countries accused others of having used a biological weapon. It even ended up with the one in charge of the World Health Organization. I think that was when racialism came out for the first time in the international community thing. When he stated his point, he had to be called a nigger. What are the niggers doing here? And the niggers are not. You heard it. It was a worldwide thing. It was a very trying time, because we were faced with another kind of warfare that we were not used to. But after that, the vaccines came and we got over it. In fact, now nobody even feels the impact that was there during the corona plague. But is it really over? These countries have stockpiles of biological and viral weapons. Some are sent. I was going through something in the internet and I saw the fish called a carp. This Indian carp, there is this other carp, can be infected with the disease and it will go across the ocean to another place. The disease will spread without one even knowing who attacked in the first place. Birds can be infected. These weapons can be disguised and put in town waters and such like things by criminals and by countries. This can be another way to the Armageddon that we always talk about. You might expect tanks, you will get infections that you can't handle. How prepared are the world countries for such an eventuality, either from other countries or from thugs? This is to warn the world that everything is not okay. We have many psychopaths like Mengele or Shiroishi. And in this world, God keeps us, but also you have to take care of your countries in case there is such an attack. Do we have enough vaccines to do anything? Have we put up an emergency protocol in countries? So don't be sitting ducks. Ensure that any disease that can be spread by viruses, by bacteria, you have vaccines for it, including plague, including polio, because you don't know what may be the next weapon. It's better to deal with a vaccine than be found with nothing, be caught on your laurels with nothing, with no protocol for emergency in case such a thing happen. So one should always do what the scouts say. BP. BP stood for Baden Powell, the one who began scouting. A scout trainer like me knows that. And it also stands for be prepared. Be prepared. This is not to scare people. This is not to make people panic, because the world powers will always say, why are you making people panic? They have the stockpiles. It is a possibility, and some of these biological weapons can be made now by people using their kitchen equipment, kitchen as a laboratory, any room as a laboratory. They can be made. These bacteria, these viruses can be hardened. So it is a high time that the countries of the world thought of also having these protocols in place, so that when you are caught, you are not caught the way we were caught by corona. Everybody didn't know what to do. People are running helter-skelter, putting on masks, hiding in buildings, keeping social distance. But there was nothing that people are prepared to do. So this is a call to the world. Be prepared. It's not to scare you, but it's a reality that is facing us. That's my take for now.